Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's Spinner Rack in the house. Once again, I'm here with Petey. We're here. Cal is in spirit with us, and we're talking about the blast we had over at the Boston Comicon, aka Fan Expo Boston, aka Fan Expo, aka Boston Comicon Convention. Look, I don't know why they have so many damn names, but just pick one and run with it. But it was great. I gotta say, they had a lot of people there. They have Jeff Goldblum. They had the whole crew of Back to the Future. Michael J. Fox.
There's a reunion. They haven't been together in years. So.
Biff looks fantastic. I gotta say.
Yeah, they're talking about doing another one. They should do the Biff movie.
Oh yeah, did you talk? Yeah, they had Tara Strong. Yes. You know her. She's the voiceover of Harley Quinn and one of the girls from
Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah.
She voiced Bubbles. And she voiced Timmy Turner in The Fairly Odd Parents. And she voiced Raven in Teen Titans.
Then come on in. We got our special guest rolling over. Elvis is in the building.
Elvis Dash, come on.
Elvis is in the building.
How you doing? He's still saying.
Okay. So we were saying, so it was a blast. And Tara Strong was there. There was tons of cosplay. Of course, you're going to see this on our Instagram. We checked it out. Tons of cosplay. We had, like I said, they had a whole bunch of people from Jurassic Park. You know, you had people dressed all up and down. Oh, they had dinosaurs. Oh, there was a hilarious scene.
There was this dinosaur conga line.
Conga line. Absolutely off the chain. So, I mean, I got to say, I love this, the feel of this particular con. It was organized. It was crowded. It's kind of shocking because when you go to the convention center and you look inside, it doesn't look like the lines don't tell you how many people are already inside into the event, and you're like, whoa.
When you get to there, there's a long line on before you get in. So then there's a big open area before you get to the actual convention. So it's a long space, and it's like, oh, okay, this is a breeze after we get in, and then next thing you know, as you go down and once you get in the doors, it's just packed. So. Yeah. And the same thing on Sunday, you're like, oh, there's no line to get in. And then you get down and it's like, it's still packed.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of people, I mean, besides, I guess, because it was Evangeline
Lilly, she's the Wasp.
She was there. And that one was pretty packed. And I guess
Jason Momoa was packed. Jason
Momoa was there. So,
but you even had
Aquaman?
A chance to go. Yeah, Aquaman.
Oh, wow.
You even had a chance. I remember it was later in the day on Saturday that they were saying there were still spots people can go in. I mean, they said he was tired, but he was a trooper. He was going through, was talking to everybody, taking pictures, and still going through with it. Yes. So you have to give him credit for that. Look, one of the great things about conventions is that you're able to meet the creators of the comics that you like, and you meet some of the stars of some of the movies and TV shows that you like too. And this was just the same thing. Freddie Prinze Jr. Yes. You know, if you like Star Wars
or Scooby-Doo, He played Freddie Jones.
Yes, and he was the voice of not Ezra in Star Wars Rebels. He was. He's not played his name.
Sorry,
but you know, and of course he's married to Sarah Michelle Gellar, who Buffy the Vampire Killer.
And also she played Daphne.
Oh, that's right, she played Daphne too.
And they're still married. They're still together.
It seems they're together.
That is why did you look? Is that for Freddie?
Yep, they're still together.
You're saying that Freddie couldn't? I mean, it seems like a good guy. But there was also comic creators, and I can let that out. They also had.
Jim Lee.
Jim Lee was
in the house. I'll tell you.
Is he the guy from South Korea? I think he's.
Yeah, the artist. Yes.
Yeah.
And Jim Lee. Let me tell you, you had to wait online. They started the line an hour before he even showed up. An hour and a half, I think, before he even showed up. That shows you how much people were there. But if you waited enough time, at the very end, there was still space for people to come up to see him and talk to him. Again, one of the great things about these guys, they take their time out to not only display their artwork, they talk to you and also write stuff down. I didn't find anybody who was not impressed. And I'll say that with basically most of the people in the audiences. I think we had some other minor comic book artists and writers too who showed up too.
Well, I mean, that's always Artist Alley. So I know where he's going. But let's get back to the show. We got some things from the Fan Expo.
Yeah, good bag.
And then we have to go to
Fan Expo Boston.
So John Byrne was in the building also. He made a connection with Bill Shatner, William Shatner. And they have this special book. This special book is actually signed
That's amazing.
So yes, we have the Star Trek book that I got.
He's a big fan of Star Trek. Clearly.
Big fan of Star Trek.
That's a very good show.
This is the third book in the series. I think he did one before, didn't he?
No, well he did. There's like a 20.
Oh, this is the omnibus.
Yeah, it's omnibus.
All right, so this is everything together.
Yeah,
All right,
they also have trades of this stuff, but they had one special edition of stuff. And this is not. There are people saying fumetti. This is a photo novel where they actually paste out the story, picking creating new stories from the old pictures.
Oh, cool! I didn't realize that. That is. I thought it was basically a copy of the.
What? Oh, taking. He only did one. He only did one, which was he did The Cage. He redid The Cage as a photo novel.
So here he did. What do you guys? Hollow Man, Mr. Chekhov,
Yes.
A Woman Born, Swarm, The Hidden Face, Sam, Traveler, Time Out of Joint, and More of the Serpent than the Dover.
Than a dove. So
Okay.
once you also have to remember.
Dyslexia helps.
Also, in this story, there's one thing. There's a romance that we didn't know happened in the original series.
What romance was that?
There's a romance between
Who? Chekhov?
Uhura
And who?
and Chekhov. Possibly.
Whoa. Chekhov. Uhura, she gets around clearly.
So since we're still on, talking about John Byrne, they also talked about, he had a panel with William Shatner, and then they also talked about they had a little panel where they had Howard Mackey and Chris Ryle from, I guess it's Skybound now. It used to be the editor from IDW, and they talked about comic book stuff and been busy talking about Steve Ditko also, and they talked about possibly that John Byrne has talked to the editor-in-chief at Marvel, so our X-Men Elsewhere might happen. And lastly, Jim Warden, who is part-time John Byrne's art dealer, was at there, and I got some original art.
Whoa!
I had to check. There's a lot of stuff there. He's still online. You can look it up.
Oh, yeah.
But I pulled from the Next Men, and it had a lot of his explosions in perfect black and white. But I bought before. You can always get Jim Warden. This is a Babe page, and this is another class. I got this off of eBay, which Jim Warden also has a link on there too. But there's always going to be some fun stuff on there to get. So.
All right, so that's cool. That's cool.
Oh, lastly, we've seen Neil Adams many a time at the cons, and this is one I got from him before, but he was at the Boston Con. He always has a nice station, and this is his Batman from a classic scene between Batman.
I love that Batman.
So, he's always there. You always check him out. He went at the Boston years before. We have an interview with him, and I'll just give you a short story that, I went there. I was very nervous. He was very nice to me. He said, "Hey, come back later." And then when he said, I came back later, he gave me a short interview, which was great. And I came back the next year at, we went into another con. What was the con in Long Island?
That was the Ace?
Ace. So we went to Ace
Comicon.
I talked to him, and I bought this book, which was drawn by him and inked by, what's his name? It's inked by Joe Kubert. It's all in black and white. So he always got some nice stuff there. It always has some nice prints. So check him out. And I guess that's encompass the whole.
Yeah, so that was good. I'd give Boston a very well organized con. If we graded on what organization?
We're not grading on anything. It was a lot of people, and it was an enjoyable con. I don't want to go and say you get your cons up. You're just like saying, like to say the smaller con, like say BoroCon, didn't it's just starting out. So give it some time. It might be as big. Packed, and it's in the some places in the harder location. So you got to keep supporting.
It's not a question of I've come to realize the cons are different based on what their goals are and what they're trying to do. So you have cons that are smaller cons, and sometimes turn out to be much better because they're more intimate. You're able to do a lot more stuff. So one of the great things, and I know we're talking about Fan Expo, but we're also talking about like BoroCon, for example. It was a little bit more intimate, so you were able to actually talk to some Francesca. What was it?
With
Mars,
Ron Mars, Jim Starlin,
right.
and Fabian Nascenza.
And so they have the time to sit down and actually talk to you a bit more. There's also the panels are a little bit more intimate. You ask more questions, follow-up questions, whereas some of the larger cons, you just don't have the opportunity to do something.
No time. They're working and sketching and
then
signing.
Also, the people there tend to be much more, they know you. They're more kids if you're into, kids can come because it's a local con, people come there. So I think it's a different type of a situation. So I'm not knocking smaller cons versus bigger cons, but it's how organized they are. And I think that's probably one of the best things. If it's a very organized con, you can definitely draw, even if it's in a small location or a small, if you get the right mix of people from creators to cosplay to rent to vendors and stuff, I think you could do well, you know? So just as I was trying to say, if you have a chance in Boston, when you get a chance, go to Fan Expo. They are in other cities too, right? I think Montreal is a pretty big one in Canada.
That one is coming up. We still aren't decided if we're going. I have to con big business into send us out there to see John Byrne and William Shatner.
I'm just afraid if we'll be able to make it back in the country. You know how tight the controls are nowadays, you know, right?
Yep.
So you'd like to go to Canada too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see. So, anything you want to add?
Nothing.
You gonna be there next year, Elvis?
Yeah, next year.
Here we go.
For our last
we'll
year.
Do it. So, everybody, head out to Fan Expo. Have a blast. Hope to see you soon. Spin a rack, out.
Out.